Hello, it's Steve Saunders. I hope you all had a good weekend, and especially all those fathers out there. Hope you had a great Father's Day. I certainly did. It was fantastic Sunday, so that was really good. So I'd like to catch up with point 2 of the 5 points that I mentioned regarding Professor Frank Dick's seminar that he did for us last week. So we've got the 5 points that 5 key areas that he mentioned on this particular occasion. Was number 1 was resilience is an attitude. Coaches tell stories. Perform under pressure. Know yourself. Know your people. And consistently challenge to raise your game. So they were the 5 areas that we spoke about. Today I'd like to just talk about number 2, which is coaches tell stories. And I'm sure you're all aware that people that do tell story, or great storytellers, just make things really interesting. And guess what? You can remember what they say. So rather than reading off a whole list of chunks of points and just random pieces that aren't linked together, when things are put into a story, much more impactful, and people tend to learn and remember those things. So if you don't believe me, think about some of the books that your best books that you've read. Certainly there'll be some stories woven into those books that will help you really remember, rather than being quite like a checklist. So interestingly, Frank spoke about Pablo Picasso, the famous Spanish painter, and he mentioned a story of some ladies. 2 ladies were in a bar in Spain, and they were looking over at Picasso. I think, and one they're saying, "Well, is that Picasso? Or isn't it Picasso?" And one of them was saying, "Oh yeah, it is. It is. I'm going to go over and say hello." And then the other lady was saying, "No, I don't think it is." But she said, "Look, I'm going to go and say hello." And she did go over and say hello to Picasso, and she said, "Oh, it's fantastic! I'm a fantastic fan of yours. I really want to. It's really grateful that you've managed to say hello. It would be great if you could just sign something just to prove that we've met you. We can take it back to back to all our friends in our country." So Picasso said, "What? Anything? Are you sure? So I can just prove it?" So he said, "Oh yeah, anything you like." Okay. So what he did then was, oh, hello Tony. Let's give a quick wave to Tony. Thanks for watching. Yeah, so Picasso then goes about just doing a little sketch on a napkin that was by the bar there. Did a little sketch on the napkin, signed the napkin, gave it to the lady, and he said, "Well, I've given you this proof. There you go. It's a Picasso one-off original on the napkin." And the lady said, "Oh, okay, then what would you like in replace? What would you like now then?" And Picasso said, "Oh yeah, I'd like 250,000 pesetos, please." And she said, "Really? 250,000 peseta for just doing a little sketch on a serviette?" Well, he said, "Well, yeah, it's that may be it, but it's that lifetime of learning and experience that you've just paid for." So I'm not sure whether that's the point of the story, really. So it's kind of like you're charging for your lifetime's experience, not necessarily the minute or 2 that it actually took Picasso to draw up that sketch. So I hope that makes sense. Certainly that little story rings true of anyone. If you put an analogy that you want to get over into a story, it's a much easier way of doing things in making sure that your story gets across and that message is there. Hi Randy, nice to see you. Good to see you. So again, be aware, as Frank was saying last week, remember to tell stories, and that will engage your audience much better than not linking up into any story. So I hope that makes sense. Look forward to catching up with you again tomorrow. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.